Hello, gentlemen. Hope everybody's doing well. I know I haven't been uploading too many videos as of recently. I've been quite busy, actually. I've been doing a lot of stuff here. It's the summertime and whatnot, so haven't had too much time to focus on my my YouTube channel. So, anyways, I wanted to put up a video today because I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, this whole YouTube thing going on is it's all an agenda, okay? And I'm going to explain to you right out of the manual I like to call 1984 with what's going on here. You have to understand that, this is a computer algorithm that's doing the censorship stuff, and, you have to understand this is straight out of 1984. So I'm going to read something to you right out of a chapter of 1984, explaining what my opinion, what I think is going on here. So this translates exactly into the internet too, because it's the most popular, way of talking and sharing information. And so it's just that all it is just they're transitioning their methods to the internet. It's the same thing they've always done throughout history. So today I want to talk about Newspeak, which is a topic out of 1984. And I'll break this down as I go. So Newspeak. The whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought. Newspeak was the official language of Oceania. It had been devised to meet the ideological needs of Ingsoc, or English socialism. In the year 1984, there was not yet anyone who used Newspeak as his sole means of communication, either in speech or writing. The leading articles in the Times are written in it, but can only be carried out by a specialist. Pardon me. It was expected that Newspeak would have finally surpassed Oldspeak, or Standard English, by about the year 2050. Meanwhile, it gained ground steadily, all party members tending to the use of Newspeak words and grammatical constructions, more and more in their everyday speech. It was intended that when Newspeak had been adopted once and for all, that Oldspeak forgotten, a heretical thought, that is, a thought deriving from a principle of Ingsoc, should literally be unthinkable, at least so far as the thought it depended on words. The vocabulary was so constructed as if to give the exact and often very yet subtle expression to every meaning that the party could ever possibly wish to express, while excluding all other meanings and the also possibility of arriving at them by indirect methods. This was done by the party by the invention of new words, but chiefly by eliminating undesirable words and stripping such words as remained of unorthodox meaning. To give a single example, the word free still existed in Newspeak, but it could only be used in such statements as, this dog is free from lice, or this field is free from weeds. It cannot be used in its old sense of politically free, or intellectually free. Since political and intellectual freedom no longer existed even as concepts, and therefore of necessity nameless, Newspeak words were divided into vocabulary A, B, and C. All words grouping themselves around the concept of liberty and equality, for instance, were contained in a single word, crime think, while all words grouping themselves around the concept of objectivity and rationalism were contained in the single word old think. Greater precision would have been dangerous. As so far as it could be contrived, everything that had or might have had political significance of any kind was fitted into vocabulary B. The name of every organization or body of people, or doctrine, or country, or institution, or public building was inevitability. I'm sorry, I can't. I've already screwed up. Damn it. Was inevitably cut down into a similar shape, that is, a single, easily pronounced word with the smallest number of syllables. That would preserve the original definition. In the Ministry of Truth, for example, the records department in which Winston Smith worked was called RecDep. The fiction department was called FicDep. The teleprograms department was called Teledep, and so on. This was not done solely with the object of saving time. Even in the early decades of the 20th century, telescoped words and phrases had been once a characteristic feature of political language, i.e. SJWs in our nowadays, and had been noted that the tendency to use abbreviations of this kind was most marked in totalitarian countries and totalitarian organizations. Examples were such words as Nazi Gestapo, Comintern, Impercob, Agripop. In the beginning, the practice had been adopted, and as it was instinctively, but in Newspeak, it was used as a conscious purpose. It was perceived that in thus abbreviating a name, one narrowed the subtlety, altered its meaning, by cutting out most of the associations that the word otherwise cling to it. The word Communist International, for instance, calls up a composite picture, a universal brotherhood, red flags, barricades, Karl Marx and the Paris Commune. The word Comintern, on the other hand, suggests merely a tight-knit organization, a well-defined body of doctrine. This is your right and your left political sides, Republican versus Democrat. It refers to something almost as easily recognized and limited on purpose as a chair or a table. Comintern is a word that can be uttered almost without thinking a thought, whereas Communist International is a phrase over which one is obligated to linger a meaningful momentary existence of Karl Marx, red flags, and the Brotherhood. In the same way, the association called up by a word like mini-true are fewer and more controllable than those called up by the Ministry of Truth. This accounted not only for the habit of abbreviating whenever possible, but also almost exaggerated care that was taken to make every word pronounceable. So let me stop right there. What this is explaining to you is what they're doing on YouTube. What they're doing is that any word that does not fit into what they want people to know of as words, they're banning them. That's why people on YouTube are banned, but they still allow the feminists talking about killing men and shit like that. And talking about SJWs and all these other meetings and bullshit. Because they're using the politically correct phrasery that they want the people to believe in because it's socialism. That's right, we're living in a socialist country now. Congratulations, you now know the truth. And that is exactly as it said right there. The use of abbreviation of any kind of word marked in totalitarian countries and totalitarian organizations. Because when you limit the ability for words are what? Words are communication. When you eliminate communication, you eliminate the ability for people to get information across about what's happening in the world, what's happening in their personal lives, what's happening about anything. When you limit people's ability to communicate, you limit their ability to get information. And when you limit their ability to get information, you limit their ability to know what's going on. And when you limit their ability to know what's going on, you limit their ability to think. And so on, and it goes. And they don't know what's going on. So the only way they'll ever get to know anything that's going on is if they listen to the mainstream news. Because they don't know anything else. They haven't been taught anything else. People don't know about these things. They read the book 1984 and they think, oh, that's nice. I can see how there's a simulation, similar, things going on there. But that's, they don't understand. This is a gosh damn guidebook. This is a manual to what we're living under, and people just simply don't care. And that's fine, whatever. That's their life, whatever. I've gone past the point of trying to help people at this point. I'm just here to make this video because of the fact that this is what's going on, and that's just that. But the whole point is that, censorship and YouTube and all this stuff, it's an agenda. People are not talking in the politically correct phrasery of Ingsoc in this 1984 book, which is English socialism. They're not abbreviating their words properly. They're not talking about the politically correct things, like SJWs and feminism. And these are just two topics that we've come to know in the MGTOW community quite well. But the censorship is exactly that. It's not allowing people who are not using politically correct phrasery, and they're casting them out. But then again, they allow people who are talking about obscure things, killing men and the black versus the whites. This whole thing that they allow like that. People just don't understand. They think that, why is it that I get banned and other people that are talking about these things? It's because you're not using the words that they want you to use. That's why. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're censoring on YouTube. It's because there's a break in the chain, so to speak, and they're gonna they're gonna nip it in the bud, so to speak. They're not going to allow it to happen because this is we're living in a socialist country, and under a socialist country, the state runs the show here, at the surface level. That's what it is. And so as it said in this paragraph, any rationalized thought, anything that does not go along with or is in the ballpark of what they want you to say is unspeakable. They will not tolerate it, and that's why they ban people, because they're trying to get you to be programmed. A person growing up with Newspeak as a sole language would not know more than the equal that he once had in the secondary meaning of politically equal, or that free had once meant intellectually free. Then, for instance, a person who had never heard of chess would be aware that the secondary meaning attached to the queen and the rook. So in other words, if you alter the ability of communication or meaning of words, then you alter their communication meaning. You alter their ability for people to know exactly what they mean. So that's why they abbreviate things. Because it takes the meaning out of the word. The association with the word in your head gets erased. And thus you no longer know what the meaning is, especially the young kids when they're rewriting the history books of things. You know, I was listening to a comedian. You know, he was talking about how he said, you know, once the World War II was quote unquote over, people would come. When they came off the boats, everybody was happy, and you know, they were dancing in the street because the war was over. And then he you know, that's what he thought it was all about, because we see the pictures. But then he goes on to say in his little podcast that it wasn't like that, apparently, after he read this article. And it was, by the way, a newly updated article of the year 2017, I think, where people said, no, there was raping and there was killing and there was shootings and all that kind of stuff after they came back. And I thought to myself, what? That's not, why would that happen? It's because it's absurd that would be the case. But you see, they're rewriting history and the past. So anytime you try to go back and read information, it's been changed. When you thought that there was peace at a certain time, they rewrite it to say that it was pure evil, so that every bit of chaos that goes on in our world today, no matter if it's from blacks versus whites, men versus women, Republican versus Democrat, or whatever, that it's always been like this. And so you get used to it. You come to accept the terms and conditions. Winston's friend, comrade, people did not have friends these days, Syme, worked in the research department of the Ministry of Truth. Syme, a specialist in Newspeak, was one of the enormous teams of experts engaged in compiling the 11th edition of the Newspeak Dictionary. The 11th edition in the definitional sense of Syme, that he said, we're getting the language into the final shape. The shape it's going to have when nobody else sees anything else. You think of our chief job in inventing new words, but that's not a bit of it. We're destroying words, scoring them, hundreds of them every day. We're cutting the language down to the bone. In the final version of Newspeak, there will be nothing else. It will be a beautiful thing, the destruction of words. The great wastage in the verbiage and adjectives. But there will be hundreds of nouns that can be gotten rid of as well. It is only the synonyms. There is also antonyms. After all, what justification is there for a word in which simply is the opposite of some other word, a combination in opposite in itself? Take good, for instance. If you have a word like good, what need is there for the word like bad? Ungood will do just as well. Better because it's the exact opposite. I mean, that says it right there. Everything going on between the usage of language and everything, the manipulation of history and language, it's all right there. Or again, if you want a stronger version of good, what sense is there in not having a whole string of vague, useless words like excellent, splendid, and all the rest of them? Plus good covers the meaning, or double plus good. If you want something strong still, in the final version of Newspeak, there will be nothing else. The whole notion of goodness and badness will be covered by only 6 words. In reality, only 1 word. Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is narrow the range of thought? In the end, we shall make thought crime literally impossible because there will be no words in which to express it. Every concept that can ever be needed will be expressed by exactly 1 word, with its meaning rigidly defined and all of its subsidiary meanings rubbed out and forgotten. Every few years, fewer words, and the range of consciousness always a little smaller. There is no reason or excuse for committing thought crime. It is merely a question of self-discipline, reality control. The revolution will be complete with its language and its perfect. Newspeak is Ingsoc and Ingspok is Newspeak. By the year 2050, earlier probably, all the knowledge of old speak will have disappeared. The whole literature of the past will have been destroyed. Chaucer, Shakespeare, Milton, and Braun, they exist only in Newspeak versions, not merely changed into something different, but actually changed into something contrary of what they used to be. That's the rewriting of history, basically. Even the literature of the party will change. Even the slogans will change. How could you have a slogan like freedom is slavery when the concept of freedom has been abolished? The whole climate of thought will be different. In fact, there will be no thought. As we understand it now, orthodoxy means non-thinking. Not needing to think. Orthodoxy is unconsciousness. And that's what I wanted to read. So, what does this have to do with YouTube and anything else I'm saying? We're living under a socialist country, if you haven't noticed. We're living in 1984. We're living in these times. This is it. This is here. You're living in this. This is really going on, and it's all here. You know, YouTube is blocking people because it's an agenda to completely rewrite history. It's to rewrite anything and anybody and anyone who dares step outside of the constructed system and patterns of belief and thought and words and thinking that they want you to think about. And anybody else that steps outside of that is considered a threat and will be dealt with appropriately. Like banning your channel, messing with your subscribers, and completely deleting you from the face of the earth. And that's why they say you get enough copyright strikes, you'll never come back on YouTube again, because they're not going to tolerate anybody who doesn't sit in with the norm of Ingsoc of the modern day time. You want to know the scariest thought about all this? It's not really scary for me, but for most people who don't know anything about this, is that this has been going on since the beginning of time. This isn't something new. This has been going on forever. And it goes on and around the circle we go. This is how they control countries. This is how they control the United States. And this is how they control YouTube. And any other facet of anything you could possibly imagine. This is how they do it. Texting, abbreviation, I've talked about this before. We see ads with less wordage, you know, we see more video, we see emojicons. Emojicons are, in other words, the ability to eliminate words completely. So that every bit of the way that you communicate is with a picture without words. So the outcome is automatically determined regardless of what you think it is. Because if you click the smiley sad face, then that's exactly what it is. It's the smiley sad face. There is no other negotiation. There's no middle ground. There's no, well, I kind of feel sad, but not really. It's just, no, it's either you're sad or you're happy. Do you see how wickedly, insanely totalitarian this is? And people have no clue. They don't have a damn clue on this earth how evil and wicked this is. And it's not going to change, you know. This is why I've completely eliminated myself from trying to argue with people about any of this anymore. Because they don't get it. And they don't care. And they don't care because they've been brainwashed into the system. They've been brainwashed into believing what they want to believe. And the only thing I can do is to learn as much as I can. Everything else is a joke. The world is a lie. The politics is a lie. You know, this whole, let me just say this final thing, right? This whole North Korea bullshit. I don't care if they drop a nuke or not. There's nothing I can do about it. Everybody's getting all worked up. Oh my God, we're going to die. I don't, fuck it. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't care if they drop a nuke. If they do, then they do. There's nothing I can do about it. You know, if I survive, then I maybe got a couple months to stick it out and see what happens with my you know, knowledge on survival. And if that's going to be the case, then that's it. If we all die, then we all die. I don't care what happens. I really don't, because there's nothing I can do about it. And so don't get caught up. You know, this message today is just something I thought of at random, one of my random thoughts. But I think it's important that, and how this ties into MGTOW, right? When you're a MGTOW monk, you should understand that none of this stuff should be affecting you by now. Whatever the politics say, whatever anything goes on, this stuff should roll off your back like water. Because it's all bullshit. Whether they launch a nuke and they blow the whole fucking United States out of the ground, then they do it. There's nothing we're going to be able to do about any of it. If they don't, it's all just been to work us up, order out of chaos, then there's nothing we can do about that either, you see? Other than the only thing that we can do about this is to get educated really fast and really quick and do it right now. And that's what I put out this video, to understand this YouTube stuff. It has nothing to do with advertisements. It's a cover story. It's a cover story for the whole agenda that they've been pushing since forever, to completely control you under a totalitarian country that you've been living in. And you either get that or you don't. And that's about as simple as I can put it. I don't know how else to put it. You know, that's the nature of our world today. Education is the most, at this point in time, protesting doesn't work. Making a YouTube page and going after the lawyers is ridiculous. It doesn't work. The only thing that works now is knowledge. With knowledge comes power, because with that power you're able to help yourself out. You're able to allow yourself the ability to understand what is going on in the world around you. Not protesting on the street and going after the lawyers and passing bills. That's all bullshit. That's all garbage. That's all a show. It's all a show. The only thing that you can do is to gather knowledge, know about their techniques, learn about what it is that's going on. This ingsoc is what's going on with the manipulation of language. Part of the censorship, I believe, on YouTube as well, because they don't want people talking about other things that don't fit into the mold. And I see it every single day. And people don't get it, and they don't want to know. So, see you later, okay? I don't have time for that. You see, one of the beauties of being a MGTOW monk is the fact that I no longer am succumbed to this world. I don't care what happens to this place. I don't. And they say, well, you should care about what happens because you live in it. But I don't control it. I don't control this place. You think I'm at the seat of the president? Well, you can do something. You can go out and you can share flyers. Yeah, good luck with that. You tell me how well that works. You know. I laugh at people that just don't have a clue. You know, and it's because that's almost out of frustration of the fact that they don't understand. But anyways, I'm done talking. I'm going to shut up with all my vigor and language. But I wanted to share this with you guys because the ingsoc, the doublespeak, the doublethink, the crime think, the abbreviation of words. I mean, I'll just read it one more time for you guys. This is talking about the abbreviation of words. This was not done solely with the object of saving time. In the early decades of the 20th century, telescoped words and phrases had been one of the characteristic features of political language. i.e. the social justice warriors. If you don't say the right thing, if you don't talk about the right thing, if you don't say that you're going to do something, if you're offensive, right? The whole social justice warrior movement is encompassed in that right there, political language. And it had been noted that the tendency to use abbreviations of this kind was most marked in totalitarian countries and organizations, because it alters the meaning of what words mean. And when you do that, you have control over people. It's reality control. You shape your reality, you shape their control, you shape their world, you shape how they think, how they behave, how they act, and every bit of anything that encompasses any bit of anything, whether they take a shit in the morning or they watch the cartoons while eating a bowl of cereal. It's all reality control. Knowledge is the only thing we have left as this moves on. Because as they do this stuff on YouTube and run people off the site, they don't care. They don't care. This has nothing to do with losing money or advertisers. This has to do with pushing an age-old agenda since the beginning of time. The socialist country we live in. All of it is right there. I simply don't have time for people anymore that don't get this. Because they're idiots. They're stupid. And they have been they are so fucked in the ass, they have no idea. They don't know what's coming. And here's the sad part about it. No matter how upset I get at people, they're never going to change. Because once you brain damage somebody and mind wipe them, once you rewrite history, and you don't have the knowledge to know about why that is, and learn about this kind of stuff like I read today, nobody is ever going to get it unless you're shown it. Because when you control the education, you control the language, you control the communication, you control the ability to figure out what's going on. Once all that's been taken over, you got nothing left. And the only thing you can do is listen to what they tell you. And there's a whole chain of reaction that goes along with that. But that is why I wanted to read that today, and why this, I know this is a long video, but it's important that I get this across because it is exactly what is going on. And it's another heated effort of mine to try to wake people up, which I don't intend to do full-time, or, it's not something that I'm going to be doing at all, with making my whole life purpose to wake people up. Forget about it. It's a waste of time, it's done. And the reason why I'm so cynical and the way I've talked today is because it is that bad, It is that bad. I look out in public. They've destroyed everything. The whole thing, the whole system. We're living under 1984 and people don't even realize it. There are different classes of people. The Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Plenty, Newspeak, Ingsoc, Doublethink, CrimeThink, all these things. It's all taken place according to plan, and it has worked successfully. So I am one of the Winstons, I guess you could say, along the line of the fact that I don't buy into it because I know exactly what is going on, at least as much as I can understand it. And the reason this is a hardcore reality check for you MGTOW monks out there, really hardcore. This goes beyond men and women, my friend. This goes way beyond men and women. This goes way beyond social justice warriors and feminism. This is beyond all of that. This is the very existence of you as a human being on Earth, and the forces that control you and own you under this place. All of that is exactly what that is. So, it's just the hardcore reality check. It's what's going on here. Get with the program or don't. Either you get it or move out of the fucking way so that people can get it. Don't get caught up in anything going on with the news. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. That's why they call it the Ministry of Truth. It's actually a Ministry of Lies. Ministry of Lies. It's designed to keep you... it's the propaganda machine. And I'll read this final section and I'll shut the video down for today. Party ownership in the print media made it easy to manipulate people with public opinion, and film and radio carried the process further. Ministry of Truth, quote-unquote, lies. The Ministry of Truth, Winston's place of work. Contained, it said, 3,000 rubes above ground level and corresponding ramifications below. The Ministry of Truth concerned itself with lies. Party ownership of the print media made it easy to manipulate public opinion, and the film and radio carried the process further. The primary job of the Ministry of Truth was to supply the citizens of Oceania newspapers, films, textbooks, telescreens, prompts, plays, novels, and any other conceivable kind of information, instruction, and entertainment, from the statute to the slogan, from the lyric to the poem, the biological treatise, and form the child spelling book to the Newspeak dictionary. Speak right, rectify, the process, continuous alteration, every kind of literature and every kind of documentation, memory holes, drop from them into a memory hole. Deleting them, the process, the names, people who had been vaporized, therefore, were considered never to have existed. Huge printing shops, elaborate equipment studios, faking photographs, teleprompt sections, actors specifically chosen for their skill in imitating voices. Quite anonymous, there was directing brains who coordinated the effort to lay down the lines of policy which made it necessary that this fragment of the past should be preserved, that one falsified and the others rubbed out its existence. That, my friend, is how they control everything. You eliminate the past, you control the future. When people look back at the past, they look towards the future, because people look in their past all the time, right? They go, well, I wonder what things were like back there. Maybe we should take some things like that back there in the past, and then we'll put it in the future. They control the past, they control the future. Don't get caught up in all the bullshit. Turn off the television. Don't buy into the political shit, whether they're firing a nuclear fucking bomb or not. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about any of it, except for prepping and maybe learning about what's going on. That's about all you can do. So anyways, I'm going to shut the video down. The reason why I made this video today, I haven't posted some videos today, but I wanted to really get an important video out, because it's important that we realize that, I don't want everybody getting caught up in all this bullshit. All this threat of nuclear war, the political, all of it's bullshit. The political party's corrupt. It doesn't matter who the hell is in there. It doesn't matter what they do. Just sit back and enjoy the show, man. This is why I love being a MGTOW monk, because part of my process of living life under my new kind of understanding of it, so to speak, is the fact that I don't allow things to concern me or get me all tied up anymore. Part of that's for the fact that I have a lot of information. Maybe that's why. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I know I haven't been posting too much, been busy. I hope you guys enjoyed it today, and I'll be talking to you guys shortly.